Okay. So, yes, welcome everybody. I should have called this an introduction to natural approaches to psoriasis. I'm very aware that we've got some lovely homeopaths, quite a lot of lovely homeopaths in the audience today, and I should make it clear that this is really an introduction, and it's sort of for people, really designed for people that are new to natural approaches. And so there won't be any sort of advanced material in this, so I don't want to lead you up the garden path, so to speak. So anyway, let's start. So first of all, where does psoriasis come from? I'm sure most of you know what psoriasis is. I'm sure you're here because you're aware of what psoriasis is and you want to find some new directions. So let's have a look. So it is a complex and chronic autoimmune disease that involves various different aspects: genetic, environmental, and immune system factors. But the exact cause is not really fully understood from a sort of scientific point of view, but researchers believe that the following factors play a significant role in its etiology. And I just want to say something about autoimmune disease, because we've just mentioned autoimmune. So what is autoimmune disease? It's a condition where the body's immune system, which normally protects us from infections or diseases, mistakenly attacks healthy cells and tissues in the body. The immune system identifies healthy cells and tissues as foreign invaders like viruses or bacteria, and this causes or can cause inflammation and damage to your organs and various systems and organs in the body. Now, so some other autoimmune diseases, rheumatoid arthritis is one, lupus is another, multiple sclerosis, type 1 diabetes, and of course psoriasis. And then I've just put little footnotes here because this is just my own belief, and it's maybe controversial. The rapid increase in autoimmune disorders over the last 40 years has been attributed by some researchers to the huge number of routine childhood vaccinations, because since I think it's 1986, we've gone from maybe 3 or 4 vaccinations up to about 70. And of course, they've never been tested in those combinations. And of course, they are tinkering with your immune system. So it makes absolute sense that there would be an increase in autoimmune disorders since that time. But anyway, that's a by note. So what are the factors involved with psoriasis? Genetic predisposition. Psoriasis tends to run in families, indicates strong genetic components. Certain genes, particularly those related to the immune system, are associated with an increased risk of developing psoriasis. HLA genes, human leukocyte antigen genes, have been linked to psoriasis susceptibility. Variations in these genes can influence the immune response and contribute to the development of psoriatic lesions. Immune system dysfunction, which we've mentioned. So psoriasis is considered an autoimmune disorder. Immune-specific T cells, which your cells, your fighter cells that identify bacteria and viruses, they become overactive and trigger inflammation in the skin, leading to the characteristic symptoms of redness, thickening, and scaling. Environmental triggers, so infections, certain infections, especially, this is interesting, streptococcal infections such as strep throat can trigger or worsen psoriasis in susceptible individuals. This is known as the Koebner phenomenon, where new psoriatic lesions develop at the site of, oh no, wait a minute, wait, no, that's a different thing. The Koebner phenomenon is something separate. I think I should have put that on a separate, let's just do that. New psoriatic lesions develop at the site of skin injury or trauma, including scratches or cuts. So, sorry, I don't know what I've done there. I've had a little bit of a brainstorm there. Physical trauma to the skin, such as sunburn, cuts, bug bites, can trigger psoriasis flare-ups in some individuals. Medications, certain medications such as lithium, which is used for bipolar disorder, anti-malarial drugs, beta blockers, so they're all common drugs, used for hypertension can exacerbate. They don't necessarily cause it, but they exacerbate and trigger psoriasis or induce psoriasis-like skin conditions in some cases. Stress, I mean, it's common knowledge now that stress has an effect on all kinds of bodily systems. So psychological stress and emotional factors are known to play a role in triggering or worsening psoriasis. Stress can lead to immune system dysregulation and inflammation, which can exacerbate the condition. And then, of course, there's lifestyle factors like smoking and alcohol, which can increase the risk of developing psoriasis and worsening the symptoms. I wanted to, let's see, what am I doing here? I think that needs to, sorry, give me a second, need to just there we go. Right, so let's look at natural therapies that can help psoriasis. Okay. Acupuncture is one. And there is research suggesting that can help inflammation and itching. Homeopathy, I'm a homeopath, as most of you know, so that's my preferred route, because homeopathy, I think, tends to get more down to the root of a problem. And because psoriasis it's a skin condition, but it comes from the inside, it's important to get, if you want a real cure as opposed to just easing it, you need to get to the root of the problem and find out where it comes from and treat that sort of cause as well. So, but homeopathy can be very effective in treatment of psoriasis, eczema, and other skin conditions as well. Herbal medicine, many herbs such as mahonia and neem have been studied for their potential anti-inflammatory and skin soothing properties in psoriasis management. Of course, mind-body techniques such as yoga, and meditation and mindfulness can help to reduce stress. So those are the kind of, it can help to reduce the triggers of psoriasis. It may not cure, but it can help to ease. Balneotherapy, which is mineral-rich water baths, such as those from hot springs or mineral springs, to treat various skin conditions, and there are anecdotal evidence that they can be very effective. And there's some people who claim cures from hot springs or mineral springs. So now let's have a look at diet and nutrition. So there are good foods that can at least reduce the chance of having flare-ups, or at least reduce inflammation associated with psoriasis. So fruits and vegetables, colourful fruits and vegetables, are rich in antioxidants, vitamins and minerals that support immune health and skin function. Berries, leafy greens, carrots, capsicum, peppers, all good choices. And then omega-3 fatty acids. In fact, I would say omega-3 fatty acids are really good. And they can be found in fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts. Turmeric contains curcumin, that's the active compound, and that has potent anti-inflammatory properties. A lot of people now are using turmeric. It's kind of become quite a trendy herb at the moment. And you can also use it, of course, in your cooking as well. There's also, I mean, I would recommend for anyone with any kind of skin condition taking an omega supplement. So my favored omega supplement is, in fact, hemp seed oil, because that contains the perfect profile of not just omega-3, but omega-6 and omega-9 fatty acids. Perfect profile for humans, and can not only help your skin, but also help your joints and your heart, and just keep you generally ticking over very nicely. So I would say, hemp seed oil, but there are other ones. You can use flaxseed oil. You can use, of course, fish oils. They all come as sort of supplements as well. Whether or not you eat, your fatty fish, I would recommend a supplement if you're suffering from psoriasis or eczema or any other skin condition. Foods, avoid the bad foods. Certain foods can trigger or exacerbate psoriasis symptoms. So best to avoid processed sugars. They can lead to inflammation and worsen psoriasis symptoms. We're always trying to reduce inflammation in psoriasis. Alcohol can interfere with psoriasis treatments, contribute to inflammation. Red meat and saturated fats, fats. These foods can promote inflammation. So moderation is key. Gluten and dairy, for some individuals with psoriasis, they may benefit from reducing gluten and dairy intake, because gluten and dairy can also trigger immune responses and inflammation. Of course, gluten and dairy in some people have a variety of effects, including on your digestion and your mood and all kinds of things. So just want to have a look at the sunlight. It's very important. So benefits of sunlight, I mean, obviously it makes us all happy most of the time, except if you're in maybe Corfu or Rhodes at the moment. But normally, I mean, sunlight is great. Sunlight exposure can help reduce inflammation in psoriasis, and UVB radiation in particular has been found to be beneficial for some psoriasis patients. So there's UVA and UVB. There's the two types of sunlight. So there's different rays within sunlight, and UVB particularly is good for psoriasis. Vitamin D synthesis. Sunlight exposure is a natural source of vitamin D, which plays a role in immune regulation and skin health. And so studies are showing that this may help to improve psoriasis symptoms. So I would say if you're going to take supplements, I would say the omegas. You want your omega supplement, and you want your vitamin D supplement. Those are the two main ones. Sunlight can soften skin, help soften and loosen psoriatic scales, make it easier to remove them during treatments. Improve mental health. Sunlight exposure and spending time outdoors obviously makes you feel better and happier. I never understood. There was a lot of so much caution around sunlight, that people were kind of scared to go outside, and sunlight in general is very, very good. But for people with psoriasis, there are some cautions. So you don't want to get sunburnt, because that can trigger or worsen psoriasis flare-ups. Psoriasis sufferers tend to have more sensitive skin, so they makes them more prone to sunburn. Skin damage, it can, excessive sunlight exposure over time can cause skin damage. So you want to just go out and you have moderate exposure to sunlight. We talked about the Koebner phenomenon, which may develop on sites of the skin injury or trauma, including sunburn. So that's like a flare-up of psoriasis. Phototherapy risks. Phototherapy equipment can lead to burns and other adverse effects. There can be medication interactions as well. Some medications, both topical and oral, can increase photosensitivity, and sunlight exposure may exacerbate these side effects. So yeah, it's being sensible really about sun exposure to sun. Moderate exposure is great, but you don't want to overdo it. I wanted to put in something about the risks of conventional medications as well. And we all know that steroids can have a dramatic effect on all kinds of skin conditions, but it comes with a big cost, unfortunately. They can weaken the immune system, so increase the risk of infections and reduce the body's ability to fight off illness. Skin irritation, steroids and retinoids and coal tar can cause skin irritation, redness and dryness. Can also increase photosensitivity. Long-term use can lead to particularly skin thinning. That's something we see a lot with people who've used steroids for a long time. I remember when I was working with a lot of people with HIV and AIDS in the 90s, there was one particular chap who'd been using steroids for so many years that his skin was like paper, and it would just literally flake away. It was really horrible to see. So yeah, you don't really want to be using it for too long. Liver and kidney toxicity is one risk. Cardiovascular risks as well. So in general, I mean, the drugs can be useful, let's face it, in emergency, but it's not something you'd really want to rely on over a long period. So at this point, I'm going to do the commercial break for Salvex, because this is my brand and my cream that I launched last year, which we're finding pretty amazing actually for both eczema and psoriasis. There are obviously quite a few creams on the market that are purportedly natural, but I've really sort of worked very hard to get a formula that covered more people more of the time. So this works. I think Salvex works really well. So if you look at the bullet points, one, it's 99% plant origin, no chemical nasties. It's definitely suitable for vegans. It contains 25 botanical actives. Some people say to me, "Why have you got so many ingredients in your cream?" And my answer to that actually is that it's actually a positive thing. One, because it covers more types of skin dryness and eczema and psoriasis. Whereas if you take one particular or two particular herbs that are useful for psoriasis, they may or may not work for you. So it's an individual thing. So if by putting more actives in, you cover more people more of the time. But also, there's less chance of becoming sensitized to the ingredient that you're applying to your skin, which is a possibility. If you're applying regularly one particular herb, you can sometimes become sensitized to that. And that doesn't really happen when you've got a lot of different actives, because if you're allergic to one ingredient, all the rest will calm it down. So you don't get the sort of allergic reactions you might get with other creams. Interestingly, we've included two very interesting ingredients that you won't find in other creams. Cherimoya extract. Cherimoya is a fruit that grows in South America. I mean, people, eat the cherimoya fruit. It's apparently quite tasty. But they've done research on cherimoya, and it's excellent as an anti-inflammatory ingredient, and that's why we include it. And we really do get great responses on inflamed skin. And then beetroot extract is a very intensive moisturizing ingredient, hydrating ingredient. And so the beetroot and the cherimoya work really, really well, but there's lots of other ingredients, but the cherimoya and beetroot really, I think, lifted above other creams. Has a nice aroma, it's a unisex aroma, nice sort of pleasant sort of citrusy floral aroma, but not too girly, so guys like it as well. It's easy absorbed, it's non-greasy. That's another thing. A lot of the creams kind of you put on your skin and they feel quite oily and not very pleasant. This is like a really high quality, premium quality cosmetic cream that sort of goes in very easily. So that's just, yeah, Salvex. I also wanted to say a little bit about how to reduce, if you want to reduce your steroid creams, how can you do that? And so this is one way in which you can use Salvex, for example, to reduce your dependence on steroid creams. You do it by mixing the steroid cream with the Salvex rescue cream in decreasing amounts of steroid and increasing amounts of the Salvex over a period of 6 to 8 weeks. So you need to always, with steroid creams, you must wean yourself off slowly. It's very important you don't come off them immediately, and it is probably best if you can get the sort of backing and the support of your doctor, if you have or your health professional, whoever that is, then that's even better. You just need to take it very easily, and if you get any kind of kickback, because if you come off the steroid creams too quickly, you run the risk of getting a flare-up, a really bad flare-up of your problem. So just take it easy. So you start week 1 with 75% steroid cream, 25% Salvex. Do that for 2 weeks. Then week 3, you go down to 50% of steroid cream, 50% of Salvex. Week 5, you do 25% steroid cream and 75% of Salvex cream, and you should find that that should allow you to come off your steroid creams. So hope you find that's a little bit helpful for you. Thought we'd like to have a look at some herbal remedies that are, these are the top 10 really herbal remedies that can be useful. Some of these we already have in Salvex, so, and some of them we don't, but aloe vera is well known, of course, soothing and moisturizing. Turmeric we already mentioned. Oregon grape we also mentioned. That's also known as Mahonia. That's probably my favorite herb for psoriasis. Can reduce skin inflammation. Tea tree oil is another favorite of many people. Chamomile is always known for its soothing properties, soothing of irritated skin. Witch hazel, again, these are all good anti-inflammatory herbs. Witch hazel for itching and inflammation. Neem, also, which is antibacterial, so if you've got infected skin, that's very good. Willow bark is something that aspirin comes from, actually, and that's very anti-inflammatory. Contains this salicin, which has anti-inflammatory properties. Milk thistle, antioxidant effects, supporting liver health, can be beneficial for psoriasis. And capsaicin from cayenne pepper, which has can reduce pain and itching by soothing the nerve endings. Then let's have a look at the top 10 homeopathic remedies. Now, with homeopathy, just for those that are new to homeopathy, homeopathy, there's you can treat an acute flare up, and you may get some success, it's like a first aid approach basically, and some of these remedies may be useful for a sort of first aid approach, but to get a sort of lasting cure or a lasting results on a deeper level, you really sort of need to consult a homeopath. Is probably the best way, so that you can have your case taken in depth and find the remedy that suits you and is tailored to you individually. But some of these remedies can be useful, especially in the sort of as an acute sort of first aid measure. So petroleum, interestingly, we use petroleum. Homeopathic remedies are, again, for those that not familiar with homeopathy, homeopathic remedies are all highly diluted. So when we say petroleum, you're taking petroleum as internally. It's not, you're not actually eating petrol. It's been diluted to the point where there's not a single molecule in the substance, in the remedy. So it's almost like the essence of petroleum rather than anything material in the petroleum. So just bear that in mind. Some of these you might be thinking, oh, I wouldn't want to eat petroleum. But anyway, dry, cracked skin, particularly winter aggravation with petroleum, and especially right on your hands, it's a major remedy for cracked hands, especially those that improve in the summer. Calcarea carbonica, which is calcium carbonate. Thick, hard, and itchy patch is worse when it's worse from the cold and damp weather. Mesareum is a plant, and it's also a remedy. It's often used in shingles, in fact. Intensely itchy and painful eruptions with thick leathery crusts. Natrium muriaticum, which is salt. Dry, cracked skin with a tendency to form blisters, especially when the skin gets worse with kind of grief or stress. So I had a patient that used to get eczema. Every time she had an argument with her husband, the eczema would flare up, and the remedy she needed was nat mur, which always calmed it down. So it's a major remedy, nat mur and natrium muriaticum. Arsenicum album, so arsenic. It doesn't sound very nice, but homeopathically prepared. Of course, you're not actually taking any arsenic into your body. It's just the essence of arsenic. So it's all based. Homeopathic remedies homeopathic therapy is based on the principle that like cures like. So what can make you ill can make you better. That's the essence of it. So arsenic obviously can cause all kinds of problems, not just on your skin, but throughout your body, digestion, and all kinds of destructive effects. And by using the sort of essence of that, you're giving the body a little bit of like a trigger for the immune system to click into place and to put itself right. Graphite is carbon, in fact. It's like what you find in your pencil, graphite. Thick, rough and itchy skins, another major psoriasis and eczema remedy, worse in the cold weather, improved in warm and moist conditions. Sulfur is another major, one of the first remedies we think about in eczema, particularly, and psoriasis, red, itchy and burning eruptions, which is worse from the heat, particularly, and worse from bathing, from showering and bathing. Rust toxicodendron is poison ivy, and this is another major remedy we use. Red, swollen, itchy skin, worse with rest and improve. Well, yeah, worse with, in general, rust toxicodendron. The modalities are worse from rest and improve with movement. It's particularly used for arthritis, actually. And where it's worse, the arthritis is, the joints are worse from rest, and as you limber up and move around, it gets better. But obviously, it doesn't quite apply in the same way to skin. Sepia is sepia, as you know, from the those sepia tinted photos, is produced from the cuttlefish. It's the ink from the cuttlefish, and it's a major remedy in homeopathy. We use it for all kinds of things, including a lot of hormonal aspects. So especially where maybe you've got skin conditions that are hormonally based, maybe perhaps worse around the period, for example, in women. Red scaly patches on the extremities and face, they are worse with hormonal changes and stress. Can be one, it's a major remedy we use at menopause, for example. Kali arsenicosum, similar to arsenicum album. Again, it's potassium arsenate. And here you've got patches with intense burning. With arsenic and the Kali arsenicum, you tend to get burning, is very predominant symptom with the skin problems. Burning and itching, worse at night and from heat. So there we go. There's your top 10 homeopathic remedies. So that's my presentation. And do you have any questions, you guys? You can unmute yourself if you want to ask a question, or you have any comments. Anyone got I'm not sure whether you're all just shy or or whether you're just satisfied.
Jonathan, I have just seen a child of about 9 with psoriasis. My first meeting with her and her parents today. The parents separated when she was about 2, but to all intents and purposes, they look like a very solid parenting couple. They both came together. Yeah, not many indications really. Whether Natmure, to go back to the grief of her parents separating when she was a toddler.
Well, we probably don't have time to go into the case in detail, but you obviously have to take into account the disposition, how, where the stress is in the case, and is there grief, or we haven't really got time to go into it. It's not it's probably not the right platform for that, but you do need to take into account the disposition, the mental and emotional disposition must be taken into account to get the best results, really. Okay. And obviously there's just 1,001 different remedies, as for that have psoriasis in their picture. So it can be complex. Psoriasis is not necessarily an easy thing to treat. It can be quite resistant. It can take time. I think that's the thing. It's unlikely you're going to get a really quick result. Maybe in children it's slightly different, where there's been perhaps less less drugging, and when they're they react more sensitively often than adults. But particularly adults, it takes time. You've got to allow, with eczema and psoriasis in homeopathic treatment, it's a process, and you need to allow probably up to a year, I would say, to get. Sometimes you get much quicker results, but people need to commit themselves to a longer process. It's not necessarily going to get better overnight, but the rewards are, on the other hand, worth waiting for. And then you really know you've treated this at root cause, and it's not just sticking a plaster over it and hoping it will go away. So but yes, in homeopathy we always take into account not just the physical symptoms, but the underlying dynamics, the underlying aspects that have predisposed this particular person to produce something on their skin like eczema or psoriasis. Like, why is this person, and what remedy fits that person's complete profile, not just the skin, but their emotional and mental profile as well.
Okay, thank you.
That was a long answer to a simple question, but anyway. Anyone else?
Jonathan,
yes,
I've just been diagnosed as having psoriatic arthritis,
yes,
which was triggered by COVID. I think my family's always had psoriasis to some degree, but I've very rarely shown anything. But having got COVID, it became very pronounced, and apparently there is an absolute connection. And I'm now officially diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis, and they're trying to put me on something called methotrexate. But all sorts of people have said, don't go there.
No,
go this route instead. So your advice is really valuable.
I mean, methotrexate is quite a heavy drug. I mean, it's always. I never dismiss anything, but why would you want to start there? I would start with a natural approach and see what you can achieve.
That's what I'm coming around to. So I'm just looking for the top anti-inflammatories, and I've been taking notes and asterisking all things all over the place. But if there was one anti-inflammatory which you would sort of recommend for someone in my condition to take, what would it be?
Well, I mean, I would say, if you just want something like Salvex is really good. If you just want like a first aid,
I clocked that one. Just
to
the homeopathy as well. I had a friend who used to use your sites a lot, who's a homeopathic doctor. So I'm kind of halfway there already, and I like the sound of that. So those are two things I'm thinking about at the moment.
I can't see who's talking because it's not showing me. Which
it's
person? Nigel. Well, let's see if I can find you. I'll have a good look at you. No, I can't see. It's not coming up for some reason. I've got a whole sort of, because there's so many people logged in. See where you are. But anyway, I do a free. If you want to have just a chat about it, no obligation. You're very welcome to book yourself in.
I might do that.
30-minute chat, and we can see what's what.
Thank you for this. It's a good start point.
Very welcome. Yeah, that's good. Anyone else? Any more? So I think the perhaps there's the summing up. I mean, I think it is definitely worth taking a natural approach. I mean, the alternatives are not that pleasant, really. I mean, the conventional drugs are full of so many risks that and they don't really get to the bottom of things. They don't cure at all. They just sort of suppress. And with that suppression goes a risk of other problems. coming out. So it's not a great, I wouldn't say it's a great option, except in sort of emergencies if you need something very, very quickly. But then even things like, I would say the Salvex cream is a good starting point if you want something just to sort of calm things down while you sort of make a decision. So anyway, it's that's the end of the presentation. Thanks ever so much for coming along. There will be a recording, and as long as this has worked, as long as it has recorded, and look forward to seeing you at the next one. Take care, everybody, and have a nice evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.